activate about 250 nerves in your body, and your blood circulation improves. It's good for your heart, and it's good for your body, and it's good for your soul, and it's good. Join your hands, take a deep breath, okay? Go down. What are you doing? Keep your phone down. Take a deep breath. Down. And thank you, anybody.
When you were my age and to football job, आणि दिमी तुझे मार बसलो म्हणून pneumonia.
Yeah.
But I read that it was because of your knees. You had a problem in the knees.
For his knee. For his knee, he got
These
pneumonia.
things need to be clarified. What happened? What was the what was the reason that turning point came? How did art suddenly happen? What was that turning point? And how did these unexpected turns turn into such a beautiful career?
See, I started cartooning at the age 40 actually, so it took a long time for me to graduate from my pneumonia to California, whatever.
Okay, but as a football player, you had you had long hair also, right?
Not in school, but when I came to Goa,
Right.
that's when I developed.
That's
When I
when you-
first came, because I was the art teacher actually.
Okay, so you were trying to look the part basically. With the long hair. So going on to Mario Miranda, it's been well documented that he's a mentor of yours, and there is a special relationship between a mentor and the student. What is the one thing that you want to tell us about that mentorship and that guide in your life that inspires you even today?
The first thing that attracted me to Mario was that he was a Goan. And when I first went to his cubicle in Times of India, I had just left college, and I was toying with the idea of doing cartooning or getting into advertising, and I knocked on his door and I told Mario, Goan hai there? And so Mario welcomed me inside, and he said, and then he gave me whatever advice he could, and he put me on to several editors actually, and that is where I got my first break working in, since I was into sports. My first break came into doing cartoons in Sports Week, that Khalid Ansari was the editor, and then midday I did a lot of sports cartoons, and then again in the Indian Express I did a lot of sports cartoons. So sports was my first love, and that way it took me initially to where I am now. Later on, when I came to Goa and I saw what was happening in Goa, I said, and when we first came to Goa, let me tell you my little background, because Clara, everybody knows Clara Alvarez, everybody knows Norma Alvarez, and we were college students in St. Xavier's College in Bombay. And we used to go to a lot of social work camps all over India actually. We have worked in earthquake areas, we have worked in drought areas, we have worked in areas where the tribals thought the British were still around. So in such remote areas we have gone, and we have seen, even I have seen what India really was. And I think that was the turning point that helped me later on to decide that I should try and make an impact as a cartoonist. And I don't know whether I've succeeded, but I'm still trying because I've not given up. My work still continues, and I'm planning to get back into the papers now, and that is my own birthday gift for me.
So coming back to the subject of sports and art, a humble house in the house of Bradman. Now that is something that a lot of people did not know, but you have your work is immortalized alongside Don Bradman, and it's at the Don Bradman Museum. How on earth did such a collaboration happen? Like, did it happen, did it start in Bombay, did it start in Goa, and how did it end up?
But I want to know if people, how many people know Don Bradman is not a Podera? You say Bradman, but he must have been. But Poders, wherever they are, especially abroad and all, they're all recognized as people of value, not the way we treat sometimes Poders as people who are much below than what we are. So Don Bradman, you all know that Don Bradman was the first cricketer who broke all the records possible. How many know Don Bradman here?
Of course.
Okay, so I was a football fan actually. I wanted to be a football player, but cricket is a game of statistics, and it makes more interesting reading cricket than football. There are so many records. Every time Sachin Tendulkar used to play, he used to hit one ball, he used to break another record. So that always attracted me. Of course, in school I played cricket I didn't play for my school, I played hockey. I was very good in athletics and very, very good in football. So cricket always attracted me. In fact, the first book that before I even became a cartoonist, was called Sportoons. And that was during the 1982 Asian Games. I was toying with the idea of being a cartoonist, and I read the Asian Games around the bend, and I said, why don't I do some cartoons and see if I can publish a book. And strangely, I did about over 100 cartoons, and I went to India because then in Bombay was one of the biggest publishers in India, and they really accepted my cartoons, and they said you should have come earlier. So that was an incentive for me to take up cartooning. And I did, as I told you, a lot of sports cartoons in the Bombay paper, not so much in Goa. So that was my background into sports. Whatever I played on the ground, I put into practice with my pen and paper.
So how did it end up at the Don Bradman Museum?
The Don Bradman thing. The strange thing about Don Bradman, when I did a big poster of Don Bradman, it was so big, and I'm calling it strange because what happened when I completed my poster, it is very strange. It is very weird actually, because the next day Don Bradman died. After I finished my poster on Don Bradman. I was in touch with another Goan in Bombay, and they had this bookshop called Marine Sports. It was the only sports bookshop in Bombay that time, and Marine Sports is still located in near Portuguese Church in Bombay. So I had approached Theo, and earlier on he had published my book called How's That? A Century of Cricket Cartoons. I put all my cartoons which I did for Midday and Sports Week together and made a book out of it. And then I was inspired, I said, why not Don Bradman? Because I had a lot of books on Don Bradman. And I said I'll do something, because for me, Don Bradman epitomized the cricketer that everybody should dream to be. He was really a cricketer in every sense of the word. It was called a gentleman's game, and I think if there was any gentleman in cricket, it was Don Bradman. So I was inspired to do something about him. So I wrote in this poster. I'm sorry I didn't get it today. I didn't see your question. So in that poster, in verse I wrote all his whole life story in that poster of it. And then when my friend from Australia, Mario Carvalho, he's a guy who was very involved in the Konknni movement in Australia, and he was staying in New South Wales also, and Mario said, I will take it and give it to the museum. So the museum accepted and I had also in this book called, I have not got the book, but in the book that I had done on cricket, the first page of the cartoon was, I had done a duck, and the duck said, the duck that that, the last match Don Bradman was playing, and if he had to score even a few more runs, he would have got a percentage of 100 for his. But he scored a duck, and so I did a duck on that pedestal, and I said a duck that ruined Don Bradman's percentage.
Average.
And I gave them this book of mine and the poster, and they were very happy, not only with the poster that I had done, but they were very happy with the verses that I had written about Don Bradman. So I was up there. Thank you.
So now coming to the main question that everyone wants to know about. See, most of your cartoons have been carried on placards and protest, and your pen has been the voice for many. Do you believe that humor and cartooning has a role in activism, and can it still inspire a revolution in Goa?
But in the first place, I must tell you that cartooning is not all humor. This is a wrong perception that people have, that cartoonists are funny people. Of course, I laugh and fool and I joke, but cartooning is a very serious profession. And most people don't realize that cartooning is something very, very serious. And the reason I took up cartooning was to make an impact as a cartoonist through my work. So it was nothing funny about it. And I remember Thomas is here, and he'll tell you during the Konknni agitation, people used to carry my cartoons for the morcha. I was so happy to see them carry my cartoons, so it inspired them. And I remember when I went to France again, I was invited, and I went to a family in Paris, and that gentleman told me that my nephew knows you. So when the nephew came home, I said, I don't know you. But he said, Alexyz, we know you because of your cartoons. He was from Magasan. And he said, we used to wait for your cartoons every morning, and it is to inspire us to make roadblocks. So that is the time I felt, that I really contributed something to the Konknni movement, that I inspired people. Of course, we must not forget the role that Rajan Narayan played, because Rajan Narayan was the guy who gave me all that space in the world. I don't think I'll ever get that space ever, because I used to do 8-column cartoons, 6-column cartoons every other day. And the boys in the office also, and Rajan also, used to wait for my cartoon for them to put them in the paper. So I was really, those were my glory days actually, during the Konknni agitation. I felt I really contributed something to make Konknni the state language. In a way, I think Thomas will tell you, or the others, that I think Herald played a major role to make, the gentleman there behind is shaking his head. So Herald did play a major role in making Konknni the state language. Of course, today the sad part is that Konknni, that we who fought for Konknni during that time, the Romi script is not being recognized as part of the movement. That was the main thing. Though my cartoons were mainly in English, but that is also Romi script. Anyway.
Okay, so now coming to art as a career, especially in Goa, it hasn't been without challenges for you. What was some of the toughest moments? How do you find strength to continue and persist? And for young artists today, how in this digital age, how has the landscape changed? What would you say to them? What lessons of yours would you like to tell them about, to inspire them to do exactly the same as you did with cartooning and activism, or anything, any cause that they might be interested in?
See, when I was a cartoonist, I always wanted to mentor people, so I used to have a lot of caricature and cartoon workshops. And at the end of the workshops, they used to ask me how much money I make, as a cartoonist. And I must tell you that the money I made as a cartoonist, even the peon in the office used to get twice the salary that I got. If you all want to cry, I can cry. But I carried on basically because I live a very simple life, even now. So I don't need much money. We have a few coconut trees and I stay in Seoul, there's a lot of fish around. So I used to survive with, and my wife was a teacher. So we used to just manage about surviving. But cartooning was my passion. And I think if you don't have that passion, you can't do anything in life for that matter. So it was not the salary. The salary didn't count actually. And I must tell you, my salary when I was even in Herald during those days when I did 6 column, 8 column cartoon was about 3,000 or 4,000 rupees a month. So
that's as far as 2002, 2004.
No, but even only when the Times of India came to Goa, that was the time I think. Then I switched over. You know, I did cartooning for all the papers. I used to jump from one paper to another paper just for 200 rupees more or 300 rupees more. And only when the Times of India came, I think the situation slightly improved for all the journalists. And even me as a cartoonist, I think that was the only time I got about 30,000 rupees, I think. But even that, according to the wage scale, was much low beyond what a normal cartoonist in Bombay would get. But I survived. And I'm still surviving. And I've got another 20, how many years?
At least 31. 110 you said, beyond Libya.
110. Yeah, my target is 110 actually. So I'll be around, thank you. And I hope you all be around also. That's the main thing.
So the next thing is your, a love letter to Goa, your book, which is Reflections from a Concerned Son. Goa, Goan, Going, Gone.
This is your
No, yours.
That's mine.
Yes.
Where's your?
So this book of yours, Goa, Going, Gone, paints a very stark picture. It paints a very, dull picture of the dangers facing Goa, the culture, environment, everything. You still, like that book was written a while back, right? You still
2008 actually.
2008, so it's almost 20 years back now. Do you see the same Goa heading down the same path? Do you think it's gone worse in recent years? What is your feeling? Do you think Goans have woken up? Are they waking up? Are they ever going to wake up? What's your take on it?
See, when I did that book, Going, Gone, but I had a question mark at the end of it with the hope that things will improve. And those cartoons were done 10 years before I compiled them in 2008. So I predicted what was happening to Goa in
1998.
Yeah, 1998. And today it is, I'm sorry to say that, but it's exactly what I predicted has happened. And there is another cartoon here. I'll just show you a brought of this. There is this cartoon here says Goa tomorrow. Multilingual, multicultural, multi-world. This is the Goa of tomorrow that I predict. And we have English pudding, French fries, German drugs, Russian saxophonies, Israelis in Afghanistan, and people buying Portuguese. And there is one here, this lady is telling this guy sitting here, "Hey, you look familiar." He says, "I'm the last of the Goans." And then I hear all the people from the different states in India in Goa. So this is a very sad picture, though I'm always very positive and very optimistic, but I'm also practical. And few know that I'm a student of sociology and psychology. So I know a little bit of human behavior and how society progresses. So I put all this in a little small cartoon here, what Goa is going to be. And I repeat again, Goa tomorrow, multilingual, multicultural and multi-world. Right? I have a young gentleman there who's shaking his head vigorously. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is about the coconut tree. You've expressed a deep connection to the coconut tree and hinted at a creative project inspired by it. What's about the coconut tree that resonates so deeply with you, and how do you see it symbolizing Goa spirit? You know, you've always talked about the coconut tree. You said are you going to be doing a project? What's so special about the coconut tree?
No. What happened was in Seoul we had a whole project focusing on we had a festival on the coconut tree actually. And I think everybody knows that the coconut tree represents what Goa is. If there is no coconut tree in a photograph or a painting, then it's not Goa. I think you all will agree with me. A coconut tree symbolizes Goa. That is why the importance of keeping the coconut tree always in mind and see how much we can protect it. Basically, it was that.
Okay. So the project has already happened, basically.
Yeah, we're planning to have it every year now. I was just talking to my friends in the village that we should keep repeating this every year because what we had was very popular and a lot of people came all the way to Seoul.
Okay. Coming to music. Music has clearly been a constant in your life. You know, it's played a role in your creative process. That's what I've read about. You know, I wanted to learn about how music inspires you. How do you use music to create what you create? And if you could share a verse from one of your songs. When I spoke to him about the interview, he said that if you want me to sing, I'll sing. So now I'm going to, hold him up to it. If you could, maybe sing a verse and tell us about music and how it has inspired you. How does it continue to inspire you?
I think music is, somebody asked me a question sometime back, if not a cartoonist, then what would you like to be? I said I definitely would like to be a musician for the simple reason that music reaches out, music has no language. And it reaches out to more people than maybe a cartoon would. So I think, maybe I will focus myself becoming a musician now. It's never too late. So I plan to sing, I plan to write my own songs. I've been writing songs for a very long time. And during the time we used to go to college, we used to have these college camps in the night. And I used to take a popular song and I used to convert it into my own song, what I call decomposition. I used to take the composed song and decompose it. So maybe I could sing one song. Maybe this is a song that I sang for my exhibition. I don't know how many of you were there, but I did sing. Yeah, there's one lady who was putting, Cecil. That I did sing 2-3 songs at my exhibition. So this is a song that I sang during my college days. I don't know how many of you all have heard of Harry Belafonte? Yes. One of the oldest singers, and he had a song called Men Smart, Woman Smarter. So then I decomposed this song into Men Smart, Woman Smarter, and the Baby Smartest. Okay. So it goes like this, but I would like you all to sing with me also. That's right. Come on. That's right. The babies are smarter. That's right. The babies are smarter. That's right. That's right. I knew a little baby, 2 years old. One day I took her for a stroll. And 90 years later, when I was old, the little baby took me for the stroll. That's right, the babies are smarter. That's right, the babies are smarter. That's right, that's right. I knew a little baby, her name was Kate. She had a beautiful figure 8. But when I had a figure 8 plus 8, she said, Alex, baby, you look out of date. That's right, the babies are smarter. That's right, the babies are smarter. That's right, that's right. I knew a little baby, her name was Jane. I asked her father for a hand in vain. And for 40 years that I did beg, till she told, relax, Alex, relax. So he said, actually, let me say it again because the punchline is on the last line. I knew a little baby, her name was Jane. She had I asked her father for a hand in vain, and for 40 years that I did beg, till he finally told me you can take her leg. That's right, the babies are smarter. That's right, the babies are smarter. That's right, that's right. You have to say amen. Amen. Thank you.
I didn't know that Harry Belafonte track ended with Amen, did it?
Become the
Okay, so now next thing I wanted to ask you is 40,000 cartoons being digitized. That's a massive achievement, and when you reflect on the significance of leaving behind such a vast and meaningful body of work for future generations, what is the message that you're trying to give these new cartoons? Because nowadays people, when they're making their cartoons, they're making them in the digital form itself. A lot of people on Instagram and a lot of people on Facebook are doing their cartoons, directly putting it up on social media.
But I must tell you about the people involved in digitizing my cartoon. I have this friend, you all must have heard of Clarice Vaz. She's a syringe artist, and her friend Salima Varai, and her friend Akila Fernandez, and Akila's mother. So always 94 years, all of them got together, and then Veena Naik, who's been the author of the last two books. I don't know what they saw in my cartoon. They said, Alexyz, the work you've been doing all these years have to be preserved and documented. And for the last 9 months, they took all my work. They came to my house and just whatever cartoons were lying all over the place, just took all my cartoons. And for the last 9 months, they have been digitizing my work. So I'm truly honored that they really took up this task. I don't know how they went through it, but for the last 9 months, and now they've completed digitizing it. They've all given me so now it will be easy for me to maybe do books, so have exhibitions, and do a lot of things what they have done. I think a big clap for Clarice, Aquila, and but I want it to be recorded because I don't think anybody else would have taken so many cartoons and said, come on, we'll do something for you. And they have done it for free. They have not taken a single pie from them. It's truly amazing. Thank you.